When the Silent Hill 2 remake was first announced, I, just like many others, were skeptical on if the remake would be good. Konami still at that point still hadn't regained the trust of gamers from how they handled the Silent Hill franchise ever since they disbanded the original dev team back in 2006. Since then, pretty much all of the Silent Hill releases released from that point had missed the mark in many ways. Also, on top of this, with the announcement that the team handling the remake would be Blooper Team, this only heightened worries with Blooper Team's less than stellar track record with their most recent games. Well, after finishing the Silent Hill 2 remake, I'm glad to say that not only is this Blooper Team's best game that they've released, this is also the best Silent Hill game since Silent Hill 3. The remake of Silent Hill 2 begins with the protagonist, James Sutherland, arriving in the town after receiving a letter from his wife, who has been dead for 3 years, asking him to find her there. James enters the town and encounters a range of eerie creatures and characters along his journey. Remarkably, the core storyline remains faithful to the original, with only minor adjustments. Despite knowing the plot, I was surprised to find myself experiencing the same emotions and reactions to key scenes as I had when first playing the game 3 years ago. This demonstrates Blooper Team's dedication to preserving the narrative's integrity and skillfully recreating major story elements with great accuracy. Additionally, the new cast delivers strong performances and successfully captures the essence of each character as they appeared in the original.
So all you know is that she lived in this town?
What did you say? How did you know that?
Well, I just figured because this is where you're looking for her. How else would I know?
Yeah. Sorry.
When it came to the combat, although I did find it quite enjoyable, it also did feel a bit clunky at times. In particular, when it came to dodging. There were many times where it felt like I did dodge correctly, but the dodge command didn't register, and it led to me getting hit many times when I felt like I should have been able to dodge the attack. Also, when it comes to shooting, it does feel quite unpredictable at times, likely to echo how the shooting felt in the original. What I mean by this is that at times it does feel like when I'm shooting point blank at an enemy, James is missing for some reason, and I don't really understand why. And I think the developers did this mainly to echo the fact that James isn't really much of a combat expert compared to other survival horror games such as Resident Evil and the like. So it seems like they likely did that to mirror that, and that was also something that was quite similar in the original as well. When it comes to the puzzles, I did find that a lot of the puzzles were also a good balance of challenging while not being too difficult. A lot of them didn't take too long for me to figure out, but I felt like it took a decent amount of length for me to figure out what to do during the combat. Also, when it comes to the overall length of the game, I did find that it was a little bit longer than the original, but not too long. Now, I have seen other people say that it did take them quite a bit longer to beat it. I think for most people, it took them roughly about close to 20 hours to finish the game, but for me, I did finish it in around 13 hours, whereas the original was about 9 hours, so it was only just a few hours more for me, but mileage may vary on that because I do know other people it did take a longer time for them to finish the game. Now, last thing I wanted to touch on is the performance of the game, particularly on PC, because that's the version I played it on. Now, when it comes to the PC port of the game, when the game did first come out, launch day, it did have quite a few issues on PC. There was a big issue when it came to stuttering. On PC, it felt like no matter what settings that you put it on, even if you had it on DLSS or FSR, there was always stuttering everywhere, and there was also big frame rate drops in random areas, and even matter where it would happen. The frame rate drops just happen in the most random of areas. Also, on top of that, for some reason, for the cutscenes in the game, they limited the frame rate to 30 FPS for some reason. And since the game often does like a seamless transition from gameplay to cutscenes, which are in engine, it did feel quite a bit jarring to see the game run at like almost half of the frame rate, or if not more, depending on the monitors that you have. Like for myself, I have a 144 hertz monitor, so I typically play games with 144 FPS. So with that, it did feel quite jarring to see it drop all the way down to 30 when normally I'd be playing at over 100 most of the time. Now, the main workaround that I did find to fix the majority of the stuttering a bit and the frame rate issues was to set the game to DirectX 11 and the Steam launch options. But while I was doing that and using that as a workaround, Blooper Team did release a patch to rectify a good portion of the stutters and frame rate issues. Now, at the time that I was playing the game, it did still stutter a little bit, but nowhere near as bad as when I did start the game initially. And also with that too, they did double the frame rate of the cutscenes to 60 FPS also, which did make the game look a lot better. And that's actually what you guys are seeing here in some of the cutscenes also. So you guys are seeing a lot smoother version of how the cutscenes look like compared to where I first started. So I do have a mix of that in the cutscenes here. Now, when it comes to my overall thoughts about the remake, I did think that the remake was quite enjoyable. It was a very, very good and faithful recreation of the original game story-wise. Not so much gameplay-wise, because I don't really think they'll be able to do that kind of gameplay today and kind of like make it feel as good as it was in the original, although in the original it did feel quite a bit clunky also. So with that, I do feel that they did do a very good job recreating the game story-wise, keeping everything important in there, keeping all the endings in there as well. So if you guys were wanting to check out like a really solid, very, very eerie survival horror game, I do highly recommend this one. This one will keep you guessing a lot of the times. Even after you finish it, it's going to have you still thinking about everything that happened in your playthrough, and it's going to make you want to go back and play more, because that's what it made me feel like. Like if I had more time to just like put more into this, I would have definitely done another playthrough, but there are other things I want to get back to. So again, this gets a high recommendation for me. If you guys are into survival horror games or horror in general, don't skip out on this. Check it out if you can on PS5 or PC. It's a really good game. I think it does deserve to be checked out. And with that, I'm gonna end it off there. So if you guys did like the video, please like and subscribe and check out more here. I am gonna try and put up more videos here in the coming weeks. Be a little bit more frequent in the video, so I do hope you guys enjoyed this, and I will see you guys next time. Later.